A brand new CNN poll out this hour shows that more Americans approve of Bob Mueller's handling of the probe than they do President Trump's approach. I want to get right to CNN political director David Chalian to break down the numbers for us. And David, we should point out this poll was done shortly after the president's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his conversations with the Russian ambassador. So how are the American people perceiving Mueller's general overall investigation?
That's right, Jake. This brand new CNN poll conducted by SSRS was done about 2 weeks after that bombshell news. So that certainly had time to seep in with the American public. Let's take a look at Bob Mueller's approval rating in this poll about how he's handling the investigation. You see it's in positive territory in terms of 47% approve, 34% of Americans disapprove of the way Mueller's handling, and a pretty big, nearly 1 in 5 Americans say they're not sure how Mueller's handling, but a plus 13 approval rating there. Let's look at the president on this issue, Jake. Not nearly as good. He's at 32% approval with how he's handling the Russia investigation. In fact, that's a bit lower than his overall 35% approval. 56% disapprove of the way the president handles this. So clearly stacked up against Mueller, not nearly as good.
And obviously, there's been a big push from Trump-friendly politicians and Trump-friendly media outlets and from the president himself to bash the investigation. The poll asked people if they believe what the president has to say about the investigation. What are the results?
Yeah, not very good for the president. Take a look at this. A majority of Americans, if you add the false side together here, that's 56%. A majority of Americans think what they hear from President Trump on the Russia investigation is false. In fact, only 8% in this poll, Jake, can say that everything they hear from the president is completely true. So clearly not so good there. But when you look at it by party, you start seeing how much partisanship matters in how people are viewing this investigation. 73% of Republicans think what the president says on the matter is true. 86% of Democrats think what the president says on the matter is false. So clearly, partisanship matters when viewing this issue.
And what about those wider effort to discredit the Mueller investigation? Is that having an effect?
You know, it is, although not overall broadly with the American people. Look, more than 6 in 10 call this investigation a serious matter. Only about a third are saying that it's just an effort to discredit the president. But if you look at Republicans only on this issue, Jake, take a look at this. 16% of Republicans now say it's a serious matter. 78% see it as an effort to discredit the president. And compare that to November. They are on the rise in terms of thinking it's an effort to discredit, and they are on the decline of Republicans who think it's a serious matter. It seems to me, if you're watching Fox News, if you're listening to Republican politicians, if you're listening to the president himself, and as we just noted, believing him, you are starting to see this more and more as an effort to discredit the president.